Hi, my name's Sam, and I am going to review a Scotch. Um, Today, I'm going to be looking at a blended Scotch. This is Monkey Shoulder. Monkey Shoulder is a blend of, I believe, three different Scotches. I don't know the names of the distilleries off the top of my head. It's 43%. I believe it comes from Speyside, three Speyside malts. Doesn't mean a whole lot to me. It may mean something to you. Um, Nice basic bottle. See the color here. Not being an expert in these sorts of things, I imagine there's some coloring added. It doesn't say anywhere on here that it has coloring added, but it's not a problem. I bought it here in Minneapolis for just under $30. Very good price. Not much else to say about it, other than that. It's got a nice bottle. It's got some comments when we were in the liquor store. So here is the whiskey in the glass. You can see color there. Not terribly surprising. I've been letting it sit for about 10 minutes so far. No water in it yet. Have one of these tulip glasses, maybe a bit larger than should have, but it's amusing. So right off the bat, very fragrant. It's got a very nice aroma. I feel like the sweetness is very balanced. It's fairly sweet, but not cloying. It's got a bit of vanilla, some brown sugar, what you would expect. Not terribly pronounced. A little bit of orange peel. Just some general citrus. When I first smelled it, maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago, there was a bit of alcohol in the nose. I think that's burned off by now. It's very lovely. It's not too complex. And it reminds me a lot of the Deanston, which I reviewed a couple months ago. And it reminds me a bit of the Deanston Virgin Oak. And I think I remember reading that this is aged in new barrels as opposed to refill barrels. I don't want to claim that my palate is that advanced, but it's got a sort of a richness and a fullness to it that I associate with the Deanston for whatever reason. So I'll take a sip. It's very smooth. There's no burn at all, even without water. It's got a nice, lingering, elegance, sweetness to it. Again, not terribly complex, and it's a little unfortunate. I feel like a lot of the scotches I've been reviewing haven't been too complex, or it might just be my palate. It's got a bit of banana ester, just a bit of banana ester to it. That might be the whiskey. It might be the alcohol. Sometimes I get that with higher proof alcohols. It almost smells a little bit like magic marker or something, but not in a bad way. It's very subdued. It's got sort of a toasty, buttery flavor to it. And one thing I've noticed with a lot of younger scotches is that the finish tends to have this sort of insipid sort of almost citrusy flavor to it. It's fine. I don't really like it a lot. This doesn't really have that. I'm getting a little bit of like bergamot, sort of a flavor I associate with like Swedish snus. And I think when I tried it before, I tasted a bit of tobacco, something kind of like a burning tobacco flavor. Very, very mild though. Put a bit of water in it now. I noticed last time, this is only the second time that I've had this, although I have shared it with a few friends, so that's why the bottle's almost halfway gone, that it doesn't, it can't handle too much water. Last time I put in a bit of water and I thought it needed some more, and I put in some more and some more and some more. I think I ended up putting out in about two of these spoonfuls, and I think it was a bit too much. It didn't. Some whiskeys I've noticed, some scotches I've noticed will just sort of flatten out and get kind of dull when you put in too much water. This one, it still had some flavor, but it was a bit more burny, paradoxically. I don't know where that came from, but it just kind of got a bit more harsh. So I think the trick is just to put in just a tiny, tiny bit of water. This being a blend too, and I assume a bit younger whiskeys, it probably doesn't need too much. So it's opened up a bit, mellowed out. One nice thing about this is the richness. I think, yeah, it's just a very full whiskey, which is really nice, especially for something that's for a blend. It's got a decent amount of body to it. It makes me wonder if there's some sherry cask. I wouldn't bet on it, but I'd be curious to see if there are any in there. Again, something that I wouldn't be able to pick out necessarily, but be interested to see. The nose and the palate haven't changed too much. They've just eased up a little bit. And I do really like, I think one of the strongest points about this is the finish. I mean, that's usually one of the biggest faults that I've noticed of younger whiskeys is the finish. It's just so uninteresting. Sometimes I get this taste of kind of like almost like an ashtray in my mouth, sort of bitterness, and this has almost none of that. And with the Deanstons that I reviewed and with the Glendronach too, they were very nice, but the finish was lacking, and I feel like this is really nice, like all the way through. Very solid. Bit of honey on the nose now. And I've noticed that my tasting notes tend not to be terribly unusual. I'm not picking up chervil and mint and gummy bears and too many things. I don't know if that's a consequence of the whiskeys that I'm trying or just the fact that I'm a bit of a novice. But I do feel like I get these sort of specific impressions, almost like the whiskeys are like, they have very specific personalities. This and the Deanston, they have their similarities, but they have very specific personalities. The differences are notable. There's something I'm picking up now that it's hard to say. It's almost like kiwi or something. Almost like a lime, almost like an artificial lime flavor or something. But it's not super strong. It's like lime, but it's just a little different. I had something the other day that had lime in it. Can't remember off the top of my head what it was. It's like tahini a little bit. The Mexican spice. It's got chili and salt and lime in it. And you pour it on fruit, and it's got this lime flavor that's very specific. Yeah, it's opening up a bit now. A bit more fruity, kind of like candied fruit or candied citrus or something. I mean, I would say, as far as bang for your buck goes, this is pretty phenomenal. $30 here. I mean, that's a great deal, and it's just a very nice, very solid, well-rounded, easy drinking whiskey. We had a friend over earlier, and I've seen it recommended a number of times as like Scotch for people who are new to Scotch or who don't like Scotch. We had a friend over earlier, and she was not a big Scotch drinker. I think she doesn't like Scotch at all, and I've been interested in sort of showing her how Scotch is interesting, and we gave her some today, and she really liked it. Her sort of praise was that it was the first Scotch that she had opened up and smelled the bottle of and didn't recoil in horror, which from her I think is one of the best compliments she could give. But yeah, certainly if you're interested in trying Scotch for the first time or interested in getting something that you don't necessarily need to be financially and spiritually invested in, this is a great way to go. Light in terms of the flavor profile. It doesn't have a lot of heavy sherry or weird stuff going on. It's not challenging, I find. But in the same sense, it's very rich and it's very easygoing and something that you could easily drink. You could easily sit down and drink it as I'm drinking it now, which is taking a sniff every minute or two and a sip every 5 minutes, or you could drink it more aggressively if you wanted to. Apparently they try to market it for mixing. I mean, that almost seems a shame to me, but if you want to mix it with stuff, I say go for it. I think it stands on its own very nicely. Yeah, still developing a bit more of a fruity character. Again, hard to put my finger on exactly what it is. It's almost sort of like a fruit candy or something. It's got a nice mouthfeel as well. I don't know exactly what that's coming from, but it's almost like a cloud or something in your mouth. Not oily, not too thick. I found that it doesn't change too much throughout the glass. You basically open it up, and I feel like within about 5 minutes, you've gotten pretty much what you're going to get for the rest of the glass, which is perfectly fine. It's not, again, $30 whiskey. It's what you would expect, more than what you would expect. But it doesn't, doesn't go bad or go insipid with time either. Which is really nice. Very, very sturdy whiskey. I should note that this could probably be inferred from the review so far, but there's no peat at all. I mean, I don't sense any peat, and it's interesting comparing this. I also got a bottle of Benroma 10-year, which I'll probably be reviewing in shortly, which I believe is also from Speyside, from the same region. I guess I could get my book and could look at the actual distance, but that's got some smoke on it, even though it's solidly Speyside, sweet, easygoing. It's got a bit of smoke in there. This has none. Well, and they have tasting notes on the back, which very few others do, but I might as well read them. So it says, for the taste is mellow vanilla with spicy hints, and the nose is zesty orange, vanilla honey, and spiced oak. I think I maybe got 2 out of the 5 of those. Well, a wonderful beginner's whiskey. There's a hint of burn there, back of my nose. Really, 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 really nice. Really nice, easy sipping Scotch. Doesn't take too much time or water for it to really show its beauty. So that's the review. I guess I kind of wanted to talk about one thing, just sort of think for a moment. I mean, I feel like a lot of the reviews that I see online on YouTube are by folks who've been doing this for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And they're so interesting to watch. I mean, just the skill and the experience that people have, where they can pick out these really fine notes on things. It's really impressive, you know, and at times I can find it a bit intimidating. I mean, you pour out a glass of Scotch and you want to sit down and enjoy it and give it some thought. And, yeah, you know, maybe this is just me, but, you know, you smell it and you feel like you get that it's sweet. It's got a bit of vanilla. It's got a bit of honey. It's some oak in there, you know, or you pour some Kahlua and you can smell the meaty smoke. And that's about all you get, you know, and I guess it's kind of interesting just coming to terms with the fact that, you know, you just get what you get. And, you know, being relatively new to sort of practice of the art or the vice of spending a lot of time talking about alcohol, I guess it can be a little bit intimidating, you know? I mean, you want to be able to get as much. If you're going to spend $60, $80, $90 on a bottle of whiskey, you feel like you want to get as much out of it as you can. And you know, you feel a little, it's kind of can be a little unfortunate when you feel like you're maybe not doing that. So I guess the point is just, I feel like I'm trying to get over that. I guess I'm feeling like I'm trying to just say, you know, maybe this is just something that takes time and takes experience to pick out the notes of dandelion fluff in a bottle, you know, to be a little funny about it. But I guess I'm just going to be okay, and I guess I would encourage others, if this is something that anyone else is even considering, to, you know, just be okay with tasting what you taste. And I think the biggest thing you can do is just be honest, you know. Not that I'm accusing anyone of not being honest, but yeah, there's nothing to be gained in making stuff up. It's funny because my partner, my girlfriend, I'll give her a glass of this or something, and she'll smell it, and it's like immediately she'll start popping up. And it's a very naive and interesting way, just tasting notes that I just don't pick up on at all. And I guess that's another thing, you know, everyone's a bit different. Everyone's got a different makeup. I'm sure we all express different olfactory receptors, and depending on what we ate earlier or how we're feeling in general or how stuffy our noses are, can change the way we taste or smell things. This is one thing that I've find a little bit unfortunate. I've read a few articles about how sound can change the way you taste or smell things. And a lot of times it's in reference to how when you're on an airplane, food doesn't taste as good, or how they serve specific foods on airplanes. Why people drink a lot of tomato juice or Bloody Mary mix on airplanes. Particularly specific, for the reason that a lot of the more subtle and light smells and so on just get muted. So you want things that taste heavy and salty and sweet, like tomato juice. Tomato juice, salty and sweet, umami and sour. It's got everything there, so you're actually tasting something. When if you know had a piece of sushi up at 30,000 feet, you wouldn't necessarily taste anything. And I think on your plane is when you're on a plane is a specific instance of that. But I think if you're tasting something like a nice bottle of Scotch and you're at a bar where there's a band playing, or a lot of people talking, it can be sort of unfortunate. You have to imagine that maybe you're not noticing everything, you're not being given the chance, or you're not, able to taste everything, smell everything you'd be able to taste and smell. I know there's a great Scotch bar in town in Minneapolis here called Merlin's Rest, and it's really, really excellent. They have an amazing selection, and I love going there and tasting some whiskeys. It's almost unfortunate if you go there after 6 o'clock. It's very busy. There's a lot of people, and it's sort of distracting. Like it seems kind of ridiculous to pay $35 to get a half pour of something, and then not be able to enjoy it. Again, it's nothing on them. It's just I guess this sort of thing. And it'd be cool to to imagine a place that was specifically devoted to focusing your attention on a nice bottle of, whether it's Scotch or bourbon or cognac or mezcal or whatever. It's specifically set up to be a fairly quiet place, and maybe they avoid using pine saw on the floors so that you're not just picking up notes of pine every time you drink something, and so on. Well, I may have spoke too soon. I think it has developed a bit more. It's almost like a chocolate now. That's really nice. It's almost like a milk chocolate, which is really strange because it was kind of edging towards like a tropical fruit flavor. Now it's almost like a fudge or something. It's really nice. It's almost flipped 180 degrees. Oh, it's really nice. Well, I'm going to finish this glass of Scotch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.